screwing together here with NBA veteran Quentin Richardson there and David Dennis Jr., our NBA analyst here. Now, Q, I'm going to start with you because not a lot of people saw the Pacers winning game one, especially with how the first half started, turning the ball over left and right. And then in the second half, flipped the script, and we saw that jumper that Tyrese Halliburton hit with 0.3 of a second. So what are you going to be looking for with the Pacers in game two?
I'm going to be looking for them to not turn the ball over 20 times in the first half. There's no way you can expect to win games when you're turning the ball over in a way that you haven't done the whole season long. And so for me, they have to do a better job of taking care of the ball, which they did in the second half. But they were lucky. I feel like they reaped the benefits of OKC not turning around and taking those turnovers and scoring on them. So for me, they're really going to have to take care of the ball and do an overall effort, have a better overall effort of taking care of that ball, because the next time OKC, I think they will score off those turnovers.
Yeah, I'm going to take it on the flip side here and talk about OKC and the fact that they did not convert on those turnovers. I can't think of a time where I've seen a team have 19 turnovers in that first half on the road, the most we've seen in a half in the finals in decades, and not be down 20, 25 points. A lot of credit goes to the Indiana Pacers and their transition defense, but OKC has got to be better at converting those turnovers into points, because what we saw in the second half was a Pacers team that was ready and better equipped for that defense. They only had 6 turnovers, and the Thunder only scored 2 points on those turnovers. They've got to figure out, if you're the Thunder, how to score and put that pressure on the Pacers whenever they turn the ball over.
Yeah, and to your point, OKC becomes the first team to force 25 turnovers in a game one in the NBA Finals and still lose the game. So we'll see if they can make an adjustment there, because in game two, we know both teams will be making adjustments. So, Q, what are you looking for specifically for in that OKC side?
I'm looking for them to get Chet Holmgren going early, man. Chet was only 2 for 9 in that game. He didn't have a great game. He didn't have great impact on the game. I felt like that he would play better. I feel like he needs to play better for them to have a better chance to go ahead and handle their business. But for him, he was MIA for me. I was looking for him to come out and have a big impact on the game, and going 2 for 9, only getting 6 rebounds. He missed a lot of stuff. Like, he was missing some of those shots in those off of those turnovers they had in the first half, which allowed them to stick around. So I feel like they need to figure out a way to get him off early so they have a better chance tonight.
And one of the ways to get Holmgren off early in the start there is you start that lineup again. You go back to the Hartenstein and Holmgren lineup. I was surprised. Yes. That was one of the more surprising developments, that they did not have that lineup to start the game, and they never went to it. That lineup got you to the finals. And what you'll see, what you're seeing there is you'll see that lob action between the two, that two-man game. That'll help Holmgren get the offense going, but also they're going to get on those boards. They were out-rebounded by 17 rebounds in that game, and there was a crucial rebound late that they missed that Siakam had on a putback. Get those two guys back in the game. I think they overthought a little bit by not having them in the game in game one. They should be able to be back there in game two.
Q, you want to hop in on this?
I agree with you 100% right there, Double D. I felt like there was no need. That was their starting lineup the whole season. I felt like they flinched first by just starting off the series by doing that without being forced to or anything. They just gave them that. I felt like they definitely should have stuck to their guns and had their starting lineup out there.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep our eye on that. And as we're here in Connecticut, I know Q's going to be enjoying himself at his pool. Going to go out there, have a barbecue.
I know, out there having a good old time, grilling and everything. I ain't seen the sun in Bristol in like 3 weekends since I've been here. What's going on, man?
But we know we're all going to watch the game Sunday on ABC regardless. Now, despite the loss, the Thunder still double-digit favorites in game two. So remember, tomorrow, 8 Eastern on ABC. Thanks, guys.
So Hallie called game on Thursday, but the Thunder have been historically great rebounding after losses. OKC 4-0 in the playoffs following a loss, winning that next game by an average of 20. In fact, they're 16-2 overall this season after a loss. That is the 4th best record in NBA history. Joining me now to talk about it, senior escape writer David Dennis Jr. and, of course, our NBA analyst Quentin Richardson. And Double D, I'll start with you because, everything we know revolves around SGA when you talk about the Thunder. He had 38 points in game one, but it took him 30 shots, though, to get there, and including missing the big one at the end. What do you make of the lack of efficiency by the MVP.
Yeah, I know it may seem strange to say when you have a guy who put one of the best finals debuts that we've ever seen from a point standpoint, but I like the way that the Indiana Pacers defend him. Neesmith, Nembhard, Mathurin, SGA was just 5 for 20 against those guys. I like the way that they're physical on him, especially Nembhard. SGA dominated that matchup in the regular season, but he struggled against him in this game. And I think that actually SGA needs to be a little bit more aggressive. I know he put up those 30 shots, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more decisive with the ball, especially in the fourth quarter. If Jalen Williams is going to struggle like he did, if Chet is going to struggle like he did, SGA needs to hold the ball a little bit more, get a few more of those shots up, and he needs to be better against that Nembhard matchup, especially where he saw some success in the regular season.
Yeah, WD, I agree with all of that. For me, man, it's Chet Holmgren. You just spoke on it. Him and J-Dub didn't have the best of games. I mean, Chet Holmgren is a guy that in this league, he's viewed as a guy that's supposed to be an upcoming star. He has a lot of expectations on him. I didn't feel like he played his best. 2 of 9 was very small for him. I felt like he didn't play defensively impactful enough. I felt like overall, just completely, they need to start out and try and figure out a way to get him involved early, get him some early shots to go in. You can see he wasn't finishing around the rim. A lot of the turnovers they had in that first half, he was on the other end, not scoring and not converting and scoring off those turnovers. So Chet Holmgren has to be a lot better. You see that 6.6 rebounds, 22%. Chet is much better than that. I expect more from him, and I think he will be better.
And the Thunder got to put him in better positions to get those points off, too. I think that them going away from that Holmgren-Hartenstein lineup in that game hurt him offensively, too. He gets some of those easy lobs that get him going. You got to play him more than 24 minutes in that game also. That affects his rhythm, too.
You know, that was the salient point because Hartenstein and Holmgren were not on the floor at all.
At all in the whole game.
At all
yeah.
in that
That was a mistake to me. They should have they shouldn't have went away from that. I agree totally with David. They won all season with that lineup, and to start the finals off when they weren't forced to do that, I thought they blinked first.
So, Q, you know the Pacers are going to look to get greedy, get another win in Game 2 tomorrow night. Indiana isn't exactly coming off the cleanest performance in Game 1. What do they need to fix besides the 25 turnovers?
I mean, they got to start faster. That's it right there. You can't expect. I mean, clearly they've done it several times throughout this playoff. They've shown that they can be the comeback kids. They cardiac kids and coming back and all that. But you can't completely. You got to get rid of that. You got to start faster. You can't keep getting down and think you're going to come back. That can't be something that you rest your hat on and say, hey, we're okay. We never give up. We never quit to the 000s. Like, that's cool in theory, but you can't continue to go out there and put yourself at a disadvantage night after night after night, because at some point you're going to come up short. You're going to get tired. You can't play perfect all the way, or you're going to miss a shot. You got to start the games earlier, and you got to start faster with a good start.
The way to do it is to carry on that momentum that they have from the second half. I want to see the second half Pacers start that game, because what they were doing was being more decisive with the ball. They were finding the mismatches. They were finding those back screens and those corner threes. The Pacers were 10 for 16 in corner threes in that game. That's better than 60%. Once they started to settle down a little bit, find some of those weaknesses, get some of those mismatches offensively, putting the ball in Nembhard's hands instead of Halliburton, they just found some way down the stretch to execute better. If they can do that in Game 2, this will be a lot closer than a lot of people think.
Game 2 of the finals tomorrow night, 8 Eastern. Double D. Q, thank you. Yeah, Hallie called game on Thursday, but you know the Thunder, they have been great rebounding after losses. OKC is 4-0 in the playoffs after a loss, winning the next game by an average of 20. They're also 16-2 overall this season after a loss. That is the 4th best record in NBA history. And waking up with us early is Oklahoma City is our NBA reporter Tim Bontemps. And so, Tim, by the time Game 2 tips off, the Thunder's had 2 full days to prepare. What kind of adjustments should we expect from OKC?
Well, Brian, a lot of times in this situation, the first adjustment that you should expect is the play better adjustment, right? And I think for a lot of the second half of this game, if you look at the way the Thunder played, a lot of this comes down to them just executing a lot better. Their offense wasn't that crisp in the second half. They missed a bunch of threes they could hit, and really they need to carry over the way they played in the first half. As you see there, the Pacers had 20 turnovers in the first half of this game. And remarkably, the Thunder, a team that generally gets 20, 30 points off turnovers in games, only had 11 points off the 25 turnovers they created in this game. That's almost an unfathomable thing for a team like Oklahoma City to do. So if they could go into game 2, get back to the pace they were able to play with defensively in the first half, speed the Pacers back up, get them uncomfortable, and most importantly, take advantage of those opportunities to score in transition, that alone should do a lot of the work to get the Thunder back even in this series.
But, Tim, it's interesting. The Pacers are 7-0 in games 1 and 2 this postseason. They are the first non-1 seed to reach that since seeding really began in '84. Indiana stands, though, as a 10.5-point underdog once again there, now going into tomorrow night. So what can the Pacers use from that Game 1 comeback as momentum going into against the Thunder here in Game 2?
Well, Brian, I've stopped trying to figure out what's going on with the Pacers in these playoffs. I watched the conference finals every game with the Knicks and Pacers. That series had a bunch of crazy endings. Obviously, the Pacers had the crazy endings against the Cavs and the Bucks earlier in the playoffs. And this is a team that just relentlessly keeps coming after you as the game goes along. We saw that in the second half of game 1, and they did start to settle down in the second half. They only had those 5 turnovers. They shot the ball well, as you could see here, and they did settle into the game. So look, in game 2, the Pacers are already playing with house money. They won game 1. They're at minimum going to go home with home court advantage. We saw in the conference finals, Pascal Siakam had 39 points in game 2. Really none of the Pacers besides him did much in that game, but he was able to carry them to a win. Whether it's Pascal Siakam or Tyrese Halliburton, I'd expect that the Pacers are going to find a way to go up 2-0 in this series. They're going to need one of those two guys to have a massive game in game 2. But look, all the pressure's on Oklahoma City. We saw them come back after blowing game 1 against Denver and smoking the Nuggets in game 2. I think the general expectation of why the line is where it is because Oklahoma City will come back, as you showed in that graphic earlier, and play great after a loss like they have all season. But the Pacers have repeatedly through these playoffs shown that when they're expected to let go of the rope, let a team back into it, they put their foot on the gas. And that's what's going to make this game tomorrow really fascinating to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Game 2 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on ABC. Tim Bontemps, thank you.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's 88 on the ESPN.